Most of Christianity is aware, I think, that in biblical times, the Sabbath that New Testament people were keeping was Saturday because that's when all the Jews kept it, right? So when did it change? Who started all that? And who also changed all the other laws as well?
The church would, something I addressed to an earlier question, the church, the Pauline theology would convey that the salvation plan found in the Hebrew Bible has come to an end and is all foreshadowing Christ. And then Christians would view those very clear statements that the law was done with. Again, we're talking about ceremonial law, was finished, completed, ceased. And then salvation was only achievable through believing in Jesus. As it turns out, Rome did not convert to Christianity, but Christianity would convert to Rome. As such, it would adopt many of the ideas and beliefs that were pervasive in the empire. As an example, the idea that uh, a very great man was divine. So that idea that Jesus was somehow divinity or emerged to be divine, we find in the Gospels. He's worthy of veneration. You can't come to the Father but by me in the book of John. So the ideas of salvation, that it's not by what you do, anything you do, but what you believe, that would develop. The nature of Jesus would be heightened repeatedly, especially we find that in the prologue of John. And then you have Ignatius, a very early church father, was the bishop of Antioch in the early second century. And he expressed that, in fact, that the church had changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. It wasn't enforced then, but he is the person who ignites that. He also is the person that coins the term Catholic. So that would emerge. Obviously, Christians are celebrating the day of Jesus' putative resurrection, right? So obviously, at this early time, we have a Christian celebration of Jesus' resurrection, Easter. That's fairly early, probably very late first century, whereas Christmas is much, much later. That's early fourth century under Constantine. In fact, the earliest mention of Christmas being celebrated on December 25th goes back to 336 CE, basically a year before Constantine dies. So all these developments are occurring. Moreover, Christians are still trying to define what exactly it is that they believe on the deity of Jesus, on their calendar. It's at the Council of Nicaea that the calendar switched from a Jewish calendar, and now the church is relying on a calendar that uses the solar solar calendar instead. So the church is basically developing very, very rapidly, and certainly in the fourth century, when that century opens with Diocletian, who was a virulently anti-Christian emperor who recuses himself. He was a very successful emperor in many ways, but he ultimately was fiercely anti-Christian. And you have Constantine, who converted in 312, and at the Edict of Milan in 313, he issues a declaration that Christianity is a licit religion. So by the end of the fourth century, probably 50% of the empire was Christian. So under those conditions, you have new laws and new ideas that are uniquely Christian. So it's very easy to map out what's happened. The ritual commandments of the Hebrew Bible are done away with. That's Pauline, and the church would introduce new ideas that would take hold. So thank you for your question.
If you enjoy this channel and the content, and it has changed your life, or perhaps the life of a loved one or a close friend, would you please consider supporting this work? You can click this link and it'll take you directly to my website with the donate button. Or there's a Patreon link and a mailing address for snail mail if you would prefer. If you do donate, please do me a favor and leave me a phone number where I can contact you and thank you properly. I hope you all have a wonderful 2025. Shalom.